The Galaxy Council's spire rose like a shard of frozen light from the swirling violet gases of the Valder Prime Nebula. Its multifaceted walls caught and refracted every hue of the cosmic storm. Pale turquoise flickers danced atop obsidian. Ribs and veins of molten gold pulsed through crystalline veins. From below, the planet's surface glowed with swirling auroras, lending the entire structure an otherworldly aura, as though it were spun from the very gases that birthed it. Inside, the spire, the grand deliberation hall, stretched in a vast ellipse, its ceiling a seamless dome of transparent alloy. Through it, delegates from 1,000 star systems could gaze at the nebula beyond, a reminder that their debates, however fraught, were but one small part of a living, breathing universe. Today, the hall teemed with urgency. Holoscreen pedestals flickered with data streams, and clusters of ambassadors spoke in low, urgent tones. The usual calm that measured, almost ritualistic ambience that characterized council sessions had given way to something darker. Fear. Ambassador Kael'thran of the Erinthian Collective stood at a viewing balcony overlooking the hall. Flower. His cobalt-feathered wings were folded neatly behind his back, but even at rest they bristled with tension. Below him, the delegates stirred, their diverse voices and forms blending into an undercurrent of worry. Kael took a steadying breath, feeling the faint hum of the spire's life support lattice vibrate through his talons. Unprecedented, he whispered to himself, recalling the reports that had arrived over the last standard day. 100 cycles of diplomacy undone in mere weeks. Beside him, Cialia of the Luminaria, being of pure, refracted light, glimmered softly. "We all feel it," her voice chimed, resonant and calm despite the tremor beneath. "The human coalition has withdrawn, every treaty, every envoy gone." Kel's eyes, sharp as obsidian, flicked to hers. They once promised to become the Council's greatest hope. Their rapid ascent, their willingness to learn until now. Below, the days of the High Chancellor, Varroan, shimmered into view, tall and slender, with a countenance as smooth and unblemished as the spire's walls. Varroan raised a crystalline rod. Immediately, the hall fell silent. Holographic projections flickered into existence above the days, star maps, news feeds, and surveillance stills from throughout human space. "Esteemed delegates," Varroan's voice rang out, measured yet urgent. "We convene under a singular shadow: humankind's wholesale rejection of interstellar cooperation, their withdrawal from the Epsilon Accord, the cessation of all trade along the Pax Meridian routes, the abrupt recall of embassies, and worst of all, here." The holoscreens shifted to show grainy footage of the starship Veritas, the disappearance of the Veritas in the Acker system. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Veritas had been the pride of human exploratory fleets, a shining emblem of goodwill. Its loss had been a blow to morale, but on rumors of attack, the spire's inhabitants had recoiled. Unsure whether to reach out or to brace for war, Varroan continued, "We have proof that every attempt at communication has been met with silence or outright hostility. Security skirmishes on the outer rim of Sol's heliopause, civil unrest on the Martian colonies, propaganda broadcast across Earth's net claiming that any contact with alien races is an existential threat." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Round the hall, delegates shuffled, some exchanging whispered glances. For most of the Council's history, humans had been the altruistic newcomers, the species that had embraced coexistence rather than conquest. Yet now, the winds of xenophobia had swept through Earth's governments, replacing hope with fear. Varroan tapped the rod again, and the holoscreens switched to a looping sequence of footage. Armored Terran patrols dispersing civilian diplomats. At the edge of human-controlled space, protests in orbit around Venus. Secretive military convoys on the moon's dark side. The images were harrowing in their familiarity. One could almost imagine. They depicted the actions of any embattled empire throughout history. "Let us be clear," Varroan said, voice dropping to a steely edge. "This is not merely a human affair. Their rejection of diplomacy threatens the stability of every civilization represented here. If Earth continues on this course, piracy and lawlessness will fill the vacuum, and the Corsian are mad already." Mobilizing at the galactic frontier will see an opportunity for expansion. A low, crackling hum resonated through the hall. The Corsian were a feared warlike race, their black-winged fleets known for ruthless incursions. Their approach had been held at bay by the unity of the Council's member states, but that unity now trembled. Cialia stepped forward, her crystalline form refracting rainbowed motes into the air. "High Chancellor, we must not yield to panic. Our purpose is dialogue, not domination. To abandon the path of peace, because one species falters, is to betray ourselves from the back." A guttural hiss cut through. The Necrari delegate, a writhing mass of jet-black tendrils, unfurled slightly, sending ripples through the surrounding shadows. "Dialogue," it rasped, "while our border worlds bleed, while the Corsian test their weapons beyond our watch. We offer nothing but platitudes, yet demand we wait." The tension spiked. Some delegates shifted forward in their seats, eager to weigh in. Others, like the Onari, fractal-eyed and serene, looked to Veroan for calm. He raised both arms, and the assembly stilled. "Before we descend into factional bickering, let us consider our next steps rationally. I propose 3 paths: sanctions, a special envoy, or a covert fact-finding mission. Sanctions might force Earth's hand, but could drive them further into isolation. An envoy could demonstrate our willingness to reconcile, but they might be turned away, perhaps violently. A clandestine mission, riskier still, might yield the truth behind the Veritas disappearance and the political motives on Earth." Kale, Thrin's feathers fluttered as he deliberated. "Each option holds peril," he said, voice echoing in the vast hall. "But knowledge is our greatest asset. If we know what truly drives Earth's leaders, we can tailor our response, whether punitive or persuasive." Cialia nodded. "And if the Veritas was indeed lost to a cosmic accident, micrometeors, radiation bursts, then the human leadership sphere is built on a lie. We must uncover the truth before irreversible decisions are made." A ripple of assent spread. Even the Necrari has softened to a contemplative susurrus. Veroan lowered the rod. "Then it is decided. I will establish a triad council comprised of Orinthian, Luminari, and 1 additional delegate to oversee a covert investigation into the Veritas incident and the truth of human intentions. We move swiftly, and we move quietly." Murmurs of approval and dissent mingled. Kale glanced at Cialia, who offered a curt nod. Beyond them, the nebula flared, bathing the hall in shifting pastels, as though the cosmos itself watched in precarious hope. Kale exhaled, steadying himself. "May our efforts bear fruit," he murmured, almost to himself, "before the galaxy descends into war." He turned from the balcony's edge and descended into the hall, each step echoing against crystalline floors, resolute in the knowledge that the fragile web of alliances now hinged on this secret mission and the uncertain heart of humanity. Beneath the glass and titanium domes of New Geneva City, the heart of Earth's beleaguered United Terran Assembly pulsed with restless energy. Dawn light filtered through the transparent ceilings, catching in swirling eddies of recycled air, and holographic displays. On the grand central stage, President Malev Harridan stood tall at the lectern, her posture deliberate, voice steely. Every Terran eye augmented or biological focused on her. "For too long," Harridan began, "we have extended an open hand to alien powers, only to find our sovereignty eroded, our resources depleted, and our people marginalized in interstellar politics no more." Behind her, a massive holo map of human space flickered, highlighting the Epsilon Accord zones in ghostly blue. One by one, those zones collapsed into stark red, effective immediately. The United Terran Assembly withdraws from all Tier 2 and Tier 3 diplomatic pacts. We recall our embassies, suspend all station permits, and cease participation in council committees. The chamber erupted, supporters draped in the red and black banners of the Terran Nationalist Coalition cheered, stamping their feet upon the polished floor. Eurasian delegates clasped hands in triumph. Martian governors raised clenched fists through low-gravity compensators. But across the aisles, others moderates, scientists, former envoys sat in stunned silence, faces drained of color. Screens at the chamber's edges displayed trending hashtags. Hashtag Sovereign Earth. Hashtag Humans First. Hashtag Council Betrol. Outside, on the bustling megadeck of Neo-Tokyo Skylanes, riot drones hovered over protesters chanting diplomacy is survival. Their voices echoed off the suspended architecture, magnified by speakers hooked into the neural comm network. Strident voices argued back through the comwave. They will enslave us. They've already enslaved half the moon. The crowd, fractured between peacekeepers and zealots, petals of fervent belief scattering through the air as automated patrols wove beams of light to disperse them. In the high-security corridors of Earth's Orbital Defense Command, Rear Admiral Castian Doyle watched the feeds with grim detachment. Holoscreens displayed schematics of alien craft, sensor logs showing unidentified warp signatures near the heliopause, and intelligence estimates predicting a 15% spike. In hostile encounters along major trade lanes, his jaw clenched as he spoke into his wrist console. All battle groups to full alert. No engagement orders unless fired upon. We'll show restraint but we'll be ready. Below, in the sterile corridors of Luna Base's Research Wing Beta, Dr. Elias Rourke stubbed out his third synthesized cigarette of the morning, an illicit habit he'd kept secret from most colleagues. He had spent the past week cobbling together intercepted comm fragments, sensor logs swiped from black market brokers, and partial decryption of human military channels. His findings, he believed, pointed to a conspiracy. Earth's Security Council had doctored the Veritas data to fabricate an alien attack, securing popular support for isolationism. The realization weighed heavily on him. He paused at the observation window, looking out at the barren lunar plains where humankind's grand ambitions had once soared. Now, the domes behind him cast long shadows across a world that had become a prison, one built by fear of the very neighbors Earth had invited to share the stars. Rourke called a soft voice. He turned to see Dr. Chen-Xiao Li, molecular xenopsychologist and longtime friend. Her brow was furrowed, and her mask's airflow shimmered in the low-gravity lamplight. The assembly's livestream just cut in for a snippet. They're praising the new era of independence. She shook her head. They don't see how deep the rot goes. He offered a bitter smile. They're too busy basking in the illusion of strength. The Council doesn't know yet, but Earth is sitting on a powder keg. He tapped a datapad, pulling up a red-line timeline. If I can get this evidence to the right ears, maybe to Cialia through the back channel, we can prevent the Council from sanctioning war, and maybe remind Earth what cooperation can achieve. Shaoli studied the pad. You'll have to transmit it covertly. Secure quantum link. The military scans everything now, and if they find out, she let the threat hang in the air. I know. Rourke set his jaw. But I can't idly watch civilization tear itself apart. If diplomacy dies, we'll all pay the price, humans and aliens alike. Meanwhile, on the verdant terraces of the Martian Colonies Council, Senator Lucia Ortega addressed a gathering of agronomists and water rights activists. The Assembly's decision risks not only our oxygen imports, but the very balance of Martian terraforming initiatives, she warned. Every hydroponic dome, every oxygen farm relies on interplanetary logistics and alien cooperation. If we sever those ties, she paused as power flickered across the hall's UV-stabilized panels, a sign of jerry-rigged sabotage by radicals on both sides of the aisle. Tech specialist Arjun Rao murmured into his comlink, "Ghost circuits definitely. Human-made. They want to turn our own supporters against us." Ortega's voice steadied. "Then let this be a call to action. We'll protect our domes, but we'll also send the Assembly a petition, reinstate talks, or face the collapse of our life support networks." Back at Earth's orbital docks, the military quietly loaded modified TerraGuard fighters into deep space jump pods. Captain Mara Voss, veteran of the Skyshield campaign, watched the process through her augmented reality visor. She tightened her grip on the railing. "I volunteered for peacekeeping, not blockade duty," she growled to her XO. "We're turning away Council envoys, while those same envoys are planning how to save us." His answer was drowned out by the docking horns of two sleek Council fact-finding scouts slipping silently toward the heliopause. Their arrival, undetected by most Terran sensors, was orchestrated by Veroan's covert triad Kael'thran, Cialia, and their secret third member. The Necreri delegate had actually volunteered for the mission, intrigued by the potential chaos and the information to be gleaned. As the Council scouts slipped past the outermost Terran blockade, under electromagnetic stealth, a single encrypted beacon lit up on Rourke's terminal, a response from Cialia's back channel address. Proceed. We await your data. Trust and truth. He exhaled, relief momentary. Now, the race was on to deliver the proof of human innocence before the Assembly's new policies could turn into irreversible hostilities. That night, as the twin moons of Mars glowed overhead and Earth's silhouette shimmered in the blackness, beyond, humankind stood divided between those who believed strength lay in isolation and those who knew that survival meant unity. And at the heart of the divide, a handful of scientists, diplomats, and soldiers bore the weight of a galaxy's fragile peace, carrying the hope that one truth, once revealed, could bridge even the deepest chasms. The grand deliberation hall of the spire thrummed with barely contained tension. Delegates hovered just above their seats, talons and tendrils twitching, crystalline wings unfurling in agitation. At the heart of the chamber, swirling holoscreens mapped the volatile fronts, Corsian fleets massing at the outer expanse, fractured pirate cells striking at coreward trade lanes, and Terran solar defenses locked in silent standoff with Council fact-finding vessels. Every passing second seemed to ratchet the Assembly's anxiety higher. High Chancellor Veroan stood at the central dais, his lean silhouette backlit by the vast nebula beyond the dome. The rod in his hand pulsed with pale blue light, an ancient instrument used to call the Council to order. Yet even its steady glow could not calm the storm raging in the delegates' hearts. Fellow members of the Galaxy Council, Veroan began, his voice echoing through the vaulted dome. Our unity is under unprecedented strain. On one side, the Corsian armada prepares to exploit Earth's defection. On another, rogue elements piratical and mercenary harass our shipping lanes. And at the center of it all, the humans refuse any diplomatic overture, choosing instead to fortify their world against us. A murmur rippled through the Assembly. The Necreri delegate, its tendrils coiling tighter, hissed something inaudible. The sleek Vortan diplomat leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Even the normally serene Onari shifted in their seats, fractal patterns rippling across their skin. Veroan raised his rod higher. We must decide our course, impose sanctions and blockade Sol, risking direct conflict, dispatch an ambassadorial envoy and risk insult or violence, or employ covert measures to uncover the truth behind Earth's actions and the fate of the Veritas. I call this meeting to determine our path. Caelthrin, the Erinthian ambassador, rose first. His cobalt feathers bristled as he crossed to one of the holopods. With a flick of his taloned hand, charts of Terran military expenditures bloomed. In mid-air starship counts, orbital defense batteries, newly commissioned war fleets. Our intelligence shows a near tripling of Terran military assets in the last decade, Cael said, voice steady but urgent. This arms race may be defensive, but it also signals intent. If we show weakness, Earth will perceive it as victory and push further. He flicked to another screen, graphs of human public sentiment, data harvested from intercepted calm traffic. Propaganda machines on Luna Base and Earth's domes have stoked fear of alien invasion. If we do not respond decisively, Council credence will collapse. We risk emboldening both the Corsian and the human hardliners. A slithering chuckle cut through the hall. The Vortan delegate drifted forward on its coiled tail. Decisive action, it rasped. Your covert mission is folly. These humans have always responded to strength. We should blockade Sol, freeze their interstellar assets, and show them the true price of defiance. Cialia of the Luminari shimmered into view next, her form scattering prismatic light across the polished floor. Strength without dialogue is brutality, she intoned. We built this council on the promise of peace through understanding. To break that promise now because one member falters will unravel the very fabric that holds the galaxy together. Behind her, the Onari murmured support, their eyes fracturing into new patterns of light as they whispered. Yet even as Cialia spoke, the Necreri delegate's tendrils lashed the air. Peace is a luxury of the naive, it screeched. While you preach platitudes, our frontier worlds burn. The Corsian test their weapons on our outposts. These humans gifted with the arrogance of youth invite chaos. Only force can restore order. The hall shattered into shouts. Delegates spilled venomous accusations, some demanding immediate sanctions, others pleading for restraint. The clash of alien languages and ideological fervor threatened to boil over into outright brawl. High Chancellor Veroan banged his rod against the dais. A wave of calming harmonics pulsed through the chamber, dampening the chaos to a low roar. Holo screens blinked, and a new incoming transmission icon flashed, not a council feed, but a private, encrypted channel. Veroan's pale eyes narrowed. Suspension of debate. He called. We have an urgent communique. He tapped the icon. A single image unfurled in mid-air. Dr. Elias Rourke, bearded and drawn, standing before a battered section of Veritas. Hull plating, his holo tablet scrolling seismic and external sensor logs. Veroan's voice softened. This message comes from Dr. Elias Rourke, former council liaison and leading xenobiologist. He claims proof that the Veritas was not destroyed by hostile forces, but by an undetected micrometeor storm, and that this data was suppressed by Terran High Command to justify isolationist policies. Silence spread like a tide. Even the most vociferous delegates stilled, their forms paling, cracking or dulling in the weight of the revelation. On the holoscreens, Rourke's data roared: meteor shower density maps, spectral analysis of impact fragments, and encrypted logs showing how military sensors had doctored the official transcripts. Cialia's voice trembled. If this is true, the humans have been manipulated by their own leaders, made to fear us through lies. She turned to Kale. We must verify this immediately. The Necreri delegate, its form coiling with contradictory impulses, twitched. A cover-up, it hissed. No wonder they turned inward. But can we trust this lone scientist? He may be part of some alien conspiracy. Then send your own agents to verify, Kale challenged. But do not let prejudice blind you to the truth. The chamber stank of suspicion. Delegates glanced sideways, weighing grief and relief. Veroan raised his rod once more. We stand at a crossroads, he said evenly. We may have been moments from sanctioning a member nation under false pretenses. Instead, we have new evidence that demands swift action. I propose the immediate dispatch of a joint fact-finding commission comprising Orinthian, Luminari, Necreri, and human representatives to Luna Base. There, under secure conditions, we will review Dr. Rourke's data, interview Veritas survivors if any remain in stasis, and assess the true state of Terran politics. A tense silence followed. For an agonizing heartbeat, no one moved. Then, one by one, stars of consensus began to glow. The Onari fractaled in approval, the Vorton a sudden, almost reluctant nod. Even the Necreri whispered assent. Veroan allowed himself the smallest of smiles. So ordered. Delegates, prepare your envoys. We depart within to Terran's standard cycles. May truth guide us where fear failed. As the assembly recessed, Kale exhaled a plume of airy breath. Next to him, Cialia's glow steadied. But even as they made arrangements, both knew that the seeds of conflict had already been sown. Earth's refusal had nearly tipped the galaxy into war, only to reveal that the real enemy had been deception from within. Beyond the dome, the nebula shuddered, as if in relief. Yet in the shadows it concealed lurking threats. The Corsian armada tightening its grip on the frontier, human radicals preparing scorched earth actions on Luna, and hidden players ready to exploit every fissure. The Council's embers of unity smoldered, and only the coming mission to Luna Base would determine if they would flare back into hope or collapse into ashes. A pale sliver of Earth hung in the ink-black sky as the Galaxy Council's envoy vessel, the Astrosoteria, dropped out of hyperspace above Luna Base, its sleek hull, engraved with the sigils of Orinthian cobalt, Luminari prismatic filaments, Necreri obsidian tendrils, and Vorton ivory scales, cast ghostly reflections across the regolith below. Inside, the air hummed with tension. Even the normally impassive Onari delegate, their skin rippling fractal patterns of muted greens and blues, sat rigidly against the shuttle's ergonomic bench. Kaelthrin of the Orinthian collective checked, his wrist consoles feed one last time. The encrypted channel to Dr. Elias Rourke blinked steadily. No abort, no interference. Beside him, Cialia of the Luminari folded her luminous wings tighter around her form. "We cannot fail," she murmured, voice like wind tinkling crystal. "The Council's unity and the future of countless worlds depends on what we uncover." "Here," Kale nodded, talons tapping lightly against the console rim. "We go as witnesses to truth, not as conquerors. May our purpose guide us beyond fear." Stepping through the airlock, the delegation was greeted by a blast of chilled, recycled air. Below their feet, the trans-lunar tram tracks hummed faintly as carts ferried ore and supplies between domes. The base's research wing gray steel and mirrored glass loomed ahead, its exterior panels streaked with months of lunar dust. Dr. Elias Rourke, pale from sleepless nights and the harsh lunar glare, rushed forward. He wore a pressure suit emblazoned with a lone Terran emblem, one sleeve stitched through with the faded logo of the former Pax Meridian trade routes. Behind him trailed two Luminari envoys in human camouflage uniforms, their crystalline forms concealed by projection fields. "Welcome," Rourke said, voice raw. "I'm sorry for the Theatrix. Earth's Security Council has been on high alert. They would have shut us down if they knew you were coming." His dark eyes flicked nervously toward the sealed corridor that led to the Veritas crash site. The Necrari delegates' obsidian tendrils quivered. "We require full transparency," it rasped. "No more secrets." Rourke led them down a long corridor into Research Wing Beta. Holoscreens lining the walls displayed rotating three-dimensional scans of meteor fragments. The Veritas breached hull plating and annotated spectrographic analyses. Each display was timestamp suppressed, classified security clearance level 8. They entered a stark meeting chamber, its walls lined with reinforced lunar alloy. A low table sat in the center, and around it stood President Maev Harridan, flanked by her chief of staff and two stern-faced Terran military officers. Harridan's face was pale, her augmented reality lenses retracted, revealing eyes haunted by regret. "Thank you for coming," she said, voice tight. "I understand this meeting was not part of the Council's original plan." High Chancellor Veroan's envoy the Onari representative bowed in his silent, fractal-eyed manner. "Your invitation is both unexpected and courageous, President. We appreciate your initiative." Harridan managed a thin smile. I had to know the truth. If I led my people astray on a lie, then I deserve whatever consequences follow." Rourke tapped a panel on the table. The holoprojector ignited, casting pale blue light across everyone's faces. A three-dimensional model of the Veritas drifted. Above the table, shimmering with simulated dust, "Initial reports," he began, stepping forward, "claimed the Veritas was attacked by Corsian raiders. But the ship's black box data tells another story." He overlaid a second model, hundreds of microscopic impact points, clustered on the ship's dorsal hull. "These aren't energy blasts," Rourke continued. "They're micrometeorite iron nickel fragments traveling at 15 kilometers per second. Heat signatures, fragmentation patterns, and breach points all align with a high-velocity particulate storm that passed through the Acker system." He cycled through sensor logs, spikes of micrometeoroid density. Calm's chatter dismissed as anomalous static, then eradicated from the public record. The holo shifted to show encrypted memos between Earth's Security Council members. "Notice this," Rourke pointed. "General Pruitt recommended immediate truth disclosure, but Minister Cortez overruled him, insisting on a narrative of external threat to rally public support." He paused as murmurs rippled through the delegates. Cialia's form brightened. "A political fabrication," she whispered. "You risked diplomatic apocalypse based on internal power plays." Harridan's jaw tightened. "I was led to believe our very civilization depended on pulling back," she admitted. "Fear became our shield." Across the table, the Necrari delegate flicked its tendrils with a quiet hiss. "You used fear as a weapon," it accused. "Fear of us. Fear of the Corsian." Harridan closed her eyes, swallowing hard. "It was a mistake. But now we have a chance to correct it." Rourke stepped aside, and two suspended cryocapsules slid forward, each etched with the name of a Veritas crew member, Captain Amara Venz, Chief Science Officer Dr. Jun Park, Their vitals glowed green, stasis-induced to conserve life signs. During the crash, time is short, Rourke said. Their systems are stable, but we need Council medical teams to confirm viability and retrieve logs stored in their neural implants. A Luminari medic leaned in. We will assist, she said, modulation softening her crystalline resonance. Our knowledge of stasis revival is extensive. As teams prepared to flank the capsules, Harridan spoke. I request reinstatement into the Council as a gesture of goodwill. No annexation, no demands, only dialogue and restitution. The Orinthian envoy's feathers ruffled in surprise. A bold offer, Kale said. Few would humble themselves so fully. Harridan's lips quivered. I will accept any conditions the Council sets. I only ask that you hear the truth and that humanity might, once again, earn its place among you. Outside the chamber, on the dusty lunar plateau, an alarm's distant wail split the silence. Security monitors showed a rogue Terra Guard squad advancing on the research wing, radicals intent on destroying the evidence and assassinating Rourke. Cialia's form ignited in prismatic brilliance. We cannot let them succeed. She raised a hand, and crystalline motes of light coalesced into a barrier at the airlock. The Onari cried out, their fractal eyes flashing. Deploy the Nebula Protocol. In seconds, ethereal tendrils of Luminari energy and Orinthian gravitic pulses combined to repulse the intruders. Plasteel rounds lodged harmlessly into projection fields. The base's security forces, loyal to Harridan, swept in to detain the planted saboteurs. The delegation returned to the meeting room with grim expressions. Rourke's data consoles flickered ominously. Harridan's face was pale but resolute. It seems my own people would rather see us isolated than embrace the truth, she said quietly. Varroan's envoy stepped forward. Then we stand united in defense of transparency. Let this act of aggression only strengthen our resolve. By the time the cryo capsules were opened, Captain Venz and Dr. Park lay blinking, disoriented but alive. Their testimonies, recorded directly from neural logs, confirmed Rourke's findings. No Corsian assault, no alien virus, only the cold machinery of space. In the days that followed, President Harridan broadcast an address to every world, images of the recovered crew, the fabrications exposed, and her pledge that humanity would restore every treaty, repay every debt, and collaborate fully with the Council on Valder Prime. In the reconstructed Grand Deliberation Hall, High Chancellor Varroan announced humanity's reinstatement. Delegates rose to their feet as Terran banners ascended alongside their own, a symbol of reconciliation. In the silent courtyard outside the spire, Caelthrin and Cialia stood beneath twin statues, one of the first human envoy to the Council, the other of the Luminari founder. Kel's feathers gleamed cobalt in the shifting nebula light. Cialia's crystalline form shimmered softly. To truth, Kale said, bowing his head. To trust, Cialia replied, extending a hand of refracted light. And as the Corsian Armada, chastened by the renewed unity of the Council, retreated from the frontier, a fragile hope took root once more in the galaxy, that even when diplomacy falters, courage and the courage to tell the truth can forge a path back from the brink.